as a public speaker for most of my professional career. I currently speak to a global audience at Creative Live as an online host, and nothing has been this terrifying as presenting my own work today. So thank you all for holding space for this. I really appreciate it. I am going to cheat with notes because I'm more of a writer right now, and this is the first time I've presented my own stuff, but it will still be entertaining and awesome. There are no F-bombs until the third paragraph. After the third paragraph, if you're offended by the F-bombs, I apologize in advance. So when Melody asked me to speak about freakouts, barometers specifically, I had no idea where to even start. And it's not for a lack of freakouts. I am kind of the queen of freakouts. I've had a lot of freakouts the last 5 years. But what's most interesting to me is how people move through freakouts, how they mitigate them, and how they eventually learn to dance with them. The hero's journey is a story that we tell about our freakouts. We all love the hero's journey. The tale goes something like this. Shit went down. Shit was in the third paragraph too. So shit happens, either intentionally, by surprise, or we face it kicking and screaming. We go into those dark places of ourselves and the world. We come out in the light and we tell tales of what we saw, and then we party. The self-help movement has been great at making us the heroes of our own journey, but it often misses the party part of the equation, which is the best part, right, Helen? Thinking that our individual struggles are unique and that we're somehow alone in them. The truth is that no hero's journey is ever done alone, and it's that sense of isolation that gets us fucked in the head. Fifth paragraph, sorry. So while self-help is cool to some extent, in some other areas I'd like to say fuck self-help. It's driven us further apart from each other, making us scared to connect, or in a constant quest that we are not good enough. Quests are tiring. They're like the little hamster on the wheel that can never get anywhere. But journeying with connection and respect and helping other people live lives that matter to them, that is where the serious fucking party starts. Fucking was not in my notes. But the real gift of self-help is that we're getting good at emerging into the light. That's cool. It feels good to defeat those hardships and demons. But I've been addicted to food, booze, sex, pot, work, and I found that spiritual epiphanies can be just as addictive. There's a time when you have to stop telling the story and start creating. Hard part. So I went to a really dark place from 2008 to 2011. I made a major career shift from corporate road warrior to massage therapist, and I broke my leg a week before graduating massage school. And the year that followed, I had 3 unexpected surgeries. Luckily, my big tumor was not cancer, but sitting alone in the women's cancer care clinic for checkups for 2 years was not what I had envisioned for my mid-30s. I got a consulting job to help with the medical bills, but found it impossible to do. My brain just stopped functioning in its normal sciencey way. It freaked me the fuck out. I burned through my life savings, I had debilitating anxiety, and it turned so bad that I couldn't go to any stores with fluorescent light for 3 years. Add a controlling, unhealthy marriage to the mix, and I soon had trouble leaving the house. And these last 5 years have sucked in a major way, but they've also been the most amazing years of my life. Because, as everyone knows, for every dark place, there are also places of light. So my rocket scientist type A persona shattered into a million pieces. Yeah, I had a ton of spiritual insights, but the most interesting part about this was the messengers of these spiritual insights, which were bacon people. So I got obsessed with bacon around 2007. This is before all the shit got crazy in my life. I started making bacon cupcakes, bacon martinis, bacon. I could not stop. And I brought my friends along for the Bacon Wonderland ride, and they were charming and appeasing me with that. I started making bacon people while recovering at my sister's house from my second broken leg surgery. She asked my Percocetted, unemployed ass to help make little fairy dolls for my nieces for Christmas. I'm not crafty, I'm the engineer. There are 3 categories of sisters in our family: engineer, artist, and perfect. I gave it a good try. I love my nieces. I want to be a good aunt. It's one of my favorite things to be. But I quickly became distracted and thought, wouldn't it be funny if we made bacon people? And so, Kevin Bacon was born. The original doll, Kevin Bacon. But I couldn't stop making them. Bacon lucha libres, bacon zombies, Cyclops bacon, hipster tofu bacon. They just kept creating themselves. And these little people would wake me up in the middle of the night and force me to make dioramas of them and take pictures. So the other thing I noticed was I started to feel my creativity and inspiration come back in. I had no idea why I was creating these things. They were creating themselves, seriously. I was not on purpose at this time. But I kept listening and following, and they kept creating themselves. Then people started buying them. And so I started pushing myself further creatively. I made some packaging, I set up an Etsy store. This was the first time in my life that I had let myself just create for creating's sake. No agenda, no angle, no gold star to win, no grades to achieve. I just did it for fun. And I also found that I slowly started leaving my cocoon of sadness and self-pity, and was able to start leaving my house again. I reached out to a graphic designer who prettified my packaging. I learned that I didn't have to do everything by myself. Big lesson. I was able to see that spark of who I once was starting to glow brighter and brighter as it was reflected by the spark that my bacon people were igniting in other people. I formed a little team of baconeers to go to craft shows and events. I got my stoner Uncle Mike on board. And his years working in a factory really paid off. I started talking with people. What I love most about these is the little spark that happens in people's eyes when they see them. The first reaction is always, what the fuck, seriously? But then, after they get after the initial like, okay, this is a bacon zombie, right? Then they're like, oh, and my bacon zombie could go do this, and who would love that, and blah, 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 blah. And so it got strangers laughing and creating and talking with each other and just having fun and seeing each other in the moment, and that was pretty amazing. So I set up a Facebook group, and the bacon people kept growing. People would send me pictures, I'd open my email, there's unspeakable images of bacon. We partnered with the Bacon Salt guys in 2009. They're based in Seattle. We made a bust of Kevin Bacon out of bacon bits. It made the national talk show circuit. If you Google it, you can still see my boobs in the picture. A little blonder then. I had my first local TV appearance on New Day Northwest, and I was just sitting there with this bust of Kevin Bacon that smelled god-awful. Bacon bits and glue. It was terrible. And, I'm wondering, how did I get here as I'm telling this person not to lick it? But, it was surprising, after 2 years of this, I was able to talk with strangers with less worry. I was able to connect with people and create and laugh, and it was all for fun. By creating something, anything, for the sake of creating's sake, I was able to keep moving forward through the freakouts and heal. Then I asked, as scientists do, how the hell did I get here? And the answer to that question is something completely beyond my logical mind. I listened, I connected, I followed, I surrendered to let the creativity create me. Surrendering to let the creativity create you. I would not have guessed that one. And you can call creativity whatever you'd like. Maybe that's God, Buddha, Allah, Krishna, higher power, or bacon. Bacon. We've created these spiritual constructs that anchor us with the universal belief and trust that shit is going to work out when we turn it over. In the old model of the hero's journey, we go on an odyssey and fight the darkness. Whoa. Back to the input is right. I didn't even know I was back there. Hope this talk is matching that. But what would have happened if Odysseus had just looked fear in the face and held his ground, knowing it was an illusion? Or what if we acknowledged fear for what it was and just went to work creating a new reality that wasn't so scary? Or what about a new hero's journey that knows well enough to stay the fuck out of the dark places and brings back tales of light and more light? And celebrate those tales of light instead of thinking it's Pollyanna's dream world. Why has everybody got to be hating on Pollyanna? So courage got me through a lot of the last 6 years, but it was creativity and connection that made me thrive. My freakouts were witnessed by kind eyes. My tears were seen, like many of you in this room. My stories were heard. And my sobbing body was held by dear friends and family when I couldn't speak. When we're freaking out, it's no longer about just seeing the light as something outside of ourselves or even inside of ourselves, but reflecting it to each other, seeing it within each other, and celebrating our connection to it. My question is, can we collectively shift from we are all heroes to what are we going to create together? Because you know, a room full of self-absorbed heroes is just a room full of dicks. And no one wants to be at that party. So I want to close in my last minute just with the big question of, you know, why bother taking this journey at all? It really fucks things up. Like, it really does. But there is no gold star shining up. There is no amount of money and no trade-off for the sweetness of hearing your authentic voice spoken for the first time. Yeah. The act of connection and resonance that occurs is empowering, humbling, and can only be considered an act of grace. And it only exists because it's heard, and we only exist because the other exists. I'd like to reinvent the notion of bravery as me against the world freaking out and fighting it, to us reconnecting as part of the world and enjoying it. So often when we're looking for light at the end of the tunnel, we miss the fact that it's around us all the time. Sometimes the end of the tunnel is too damn far away. So I encourage you just to look for the light where you are, to connect with that. May your bacon never burn, and may you always stay crispy.